Good evening. Welcome to the April 1st, 2024 meeting of the Stillwater City Council. This time I will call the meeting to order and I'll ask that you all stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first up tonight, we have some proclamations to make. Our first one will be in recognition of Sexual Assault Awareness Month. I think we have Brandy White from the Wings of Hope is here tonight to accept the proclamation and also give us a few words. So I'll go ahead and read this and I'll let you say hello.
You're going to go first.
Unless you'd like to go first.
No, you go right ahead.
I'll go first. Whereas sexual violence is a devastating and intolerable crime affecting men, women, and children of all races, ages, cultures, economic situations, and abilities. And whereas sexual violence is a major social problem in homes, schools, and communities across the country, resulting in countless physical, mental, and other health consequences. And whereas it's reported by the CDC that over half of women and almost 1 in 3 men have experienced sexual violence involving physical contact during their lifetime. And whereas it's also reported that 1 in 3 women and about 1 in 9 men experience sexual harassment in a public place. And whereas the month of April has been designated to raise public awareness and reinforce the need for prevention efforts, as sexual violence is a public health, human rights, and social justice issue. Now therefore, I, William Joyce, Mayor of Stillwater, Oklahoma, do hereby proclaim April 2024 in the city of Stillwater as Sexual Assault Awareness Month.
Thank you. We know these aren't the kind of proclamations that are fun for city councils or cities, but we know that it's important. Last year at Wings of Hope, we saw almost 100 sexual assault victims come through our programs. We work in conjunction with the hospital, Stillwater Medical Center, law enforcement with Stillwater PD, OSU PD, and the Sheriff's Department to make sure that we provide victims services to the victims of sexual assault. And we know that it's important for them to have a voice at this council and in this city, and so we really appreciate the council recognizing this, and we hope that this is a little bit of hope for victims out there, that we do take this crime seriously and that we do have support and services for victims in our community. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Randy. Thanks for the work that you all do, you and your team at Wings of Hope.
Picture time.
All right, next up we have a proclamation in recognition of Fair Housing Month, and I think Tony Broyles is here from the Stillwater Housing Authority to accept this proclamation and talk to us a little bit more about fair housing. But again, I'll go ahead and read this first and we'll let you speak. Whereas April 1st, 2024 marks the 56th anniversary of the passage of the U.S. Fair Housing Law, Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, as amended, which enunciates a national policy of fair housing. And whereas the City of Stillwater encourages fair housing opportunities for all residents without regard to race, color, creed, religion, national origin, gender, familial status, sexual orientation, handicap. And whereas the City of Stillwater is committed to support the fair housing law and programs that educate the public about the right to equal housing opportunities and to help assure every resident of their right to fair housing. Now therefore, I, William Joyce, Mayor of Stillwater, Oklahoma, do hereby proclaim April 2024 as Fair Housing Month and urge all residents to support fair housing throughout the year.
Well, we thank you very much for this honor. And
Pull the mic up so we can all hear you.
I'm sorry, is that better?
Just pull it closer to you, it's fine. There you go.
Okay, sorry. Thank you for this honor. We serve over 650 families on our Section 8 program. We put over $350,000 a month into the Stillwater community. That's not, we also do our public housing units, and we pride ourselves on what we do with our fair housing and working with the individuals within this community.
Thank you so much for the work that you do. All right, counselors, that takes us to the consent docket. Questions, comments, or action on the consent docket?
Motion to approve the consent docket.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve consent. Please vote. With a vote of 4-0, that item, the consent docket is passed. That takes us to public hearings. Item 7. 7A is receive public comment regarding a request from Independent School District number 16 and Stillwater National Bank to rezone properties addresses 1120 North Husband Street and 1515 North Boomer Road from commercial shopping and commercial general to public. CC-24-33. Did we have good notice on this?
Yes, we do.
Ms. Porter.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Jacqueline Porter presenting on behalf of the Planning Department. Tonight's item is a map amendment request to rezone the properties addressed as 1515 North Boomer Road and 1120 North Husband Street from commercial shopping and commercial general to public for the future development of the Stillwater Public School facilities. The subject properties are located near the intersection of North Boomer Road and West Franklin Avenue, as well as North Husband Street and North Boomer Road. One of the subject properties is located north of the Stillwater High School campus, known as Cimarron Plaza, with Boomer Lake further to the north. The other property is located to the south of Stillwater High School campus, located east of Slim Chickens and Freddy's. Here's a street view looking north off of West Franklin Avenue towards the Cimarron Plaza Shopping Center. The current zoning shows that the northern property is zoned commercial shopping and the southern property is zoned commercial general. Various zoning districts are located around the subject properties, with residential zoning districts located to the east and commercial general located to the south, as well as to the west with high density residential. Public zoning is adjacent to the subject properties. Here's a future land use map that was adopted with the 2030 comprehensive plan, which was projected the desired uses in the area at the time of the adoption of the plan, and it was to be public and commercial. Stephen Gose with Gose & Associates is here on behalf of the applicant. Are there any questions for staff?
Counselors, any questions? This time I will open the public hearing. I'll ask Mr. Gose to come up and let us know what the applicant needs to tell us.
Good evening, Counselors. Stephen Gose with Gose & Associates, 113 East 8th Avenue. I'm not that tall. Here on behalf of the applicant, there's 2 tracks in this zoning request. The large one is north of Franklin. That's the Cimarron Plaza Shopping Center, and that's the location of the new high school. The south piece off the southeast corner of the parking lot for the high school is a tract they were gifted a couple of years ago. And so just as part of the map amendment for the north, they said, let's go ahead and get that one cleaned up while we're at it. So if there's any questions, I can try to answer them.
Stephen, why is the bank one of the applicants?
Because it's a
still
lease
own?
purchase
Okay.
on the land.
Yeah.
So the bank actually owns it and Stillwater Schools is leasing it. I was on the school board when that happened.
Yeah. I was really more wondering why the old name of the bank is one of the applicants. Maybe just because it
that's
hasn't been
still what's on
updated in the
deed,
records.
so.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Any further questions, counselors?
Thank you.
I don't have anyone else signed up for public hearing. Is anybody else here tonight to speak on this item? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Jacqueline, could you let us know what the recommendation from Planning Commission was?
Yes. Planning Commission recommended approval with a vote of 4-0.
Thank you. Counselors?
I move to accept the Planning Commission recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the recommendation. Please vote. With a vote of 4-0, the item is approved.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jacqueline. That takes us to general orders. Item A is a presentation and possible action to approve the Simmons Bank grant agreement. This is the right name of the bank.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Brady Moore, Deputy City Manager. This evening, we are excited to bring before you the grant agreement from Simmons Bank for their generous gift and commitment to Block 34 of $1,500,000. The agreement establishes a 25-year naming rights to the large open-air pavilion that will sit on the northeast corner of the block, and which will officially be called the Simmons Bank Pavilion. We're so grateful for this generous gift to the community, and we can't wait to see the Simmons Bank structure come out of the ground soon. And for those that are at home and for you in the room, I wanted to show some of the final renderings of the pavilion. So,
Are these the final?
yes.
Okay.
Pending the branding, Simmons Bank will sign off on the final branding on the building.
Okay.
Yep. So this is a view from basically 8th and Husband, looking to the southwest. And here is a view from the lawn. We have a couple different angles as you're on the lawn looking northeast. So it's a big open air structure, has public restrooms, great place to sit, have events. It's going to be such a cool asset for our community. And then here's a view again from that corner. And so I'll now invite Kevin Fowler and Scott Petty from Simmons Bank to come up and talk about their gift.
Better do this, Tim. I'm getting in trouble if I don't.
There you go.
Well, we're so pleased that you invited us here this evening. Thanks so much for the opportunity. As you might imagine, a grant that size is not random. The company's only done this about a handful of times in our 120-year history, a grant of this size, over 7 figures. So it's about contributing to a vibrant community, a community where our customers have stayed loyal to us, and our customers where we have kind of high-achieving team. And Stillwater really hit all 3 of those things. But what also matters is the fact that economic development to downtown Stillwater is huge, and the fact that it doesn't matter your social economic situation, you'll be welcomed into this facility. So that was huge for the grant for the Simmons Pavilion. Doesn't hurt either that we're making a significant investment into the corner. You're probably not surprised either at 6th and Main to Husband and Main. That's a $10 million investment. So all that kind of dovetails to make this the right project at the right time for us, and we couldn't be more happy about it.
I just want to say, for somebody that spent most of his career here in Stillwater asking people for support from the university and the hospital, it's great to be able to be a part of this major gift. So in addition, thank you to Deputy Director, City Manager Brady Moore, and Kimberly Carnley, City Attorney, for all the heavy lifting that they personally did with Simmons Bank and our team. So I would be remiss if I didn't also add, it's great to be a partner with Kicker and the investment that Steve Irby and his team made. So with that, thank you guys very much.
That's it. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I have a motion.
Well,
I think you probably know it too.
I'll just say, off the bat, thank you guys so much for the work that you've done to get this to the finish line, and for the commitment from Simmons Bank to our community. It is, absolutely would not be happening at Block 34 without this $1.5 million. And so, having the commitment of Simmons Bank to continue to be such a huge anchor in our downtown area and the whole community of Stillwater is really, really great, and we appreciate it. It's tougher when you've got such a big organization and trying to deal with everybody and make sure Stillwater is the place that they chose to make this donation, and we owe you guys a lot for the work that you did to make sure that Stillwater was the recipient of this money. So super excited about it. Can't wait to see it come up and join you guys all at a ribbon cutting down there in a few months.
Can I say one thing?
Please.
The partnership with Kicker for sure, but the City of Stillwater partnership was huge for us in this decision as well. So if it wasn't for the City of Stillwater and the confidence that we had in what was going on here, that was a big piece of it as well. So
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Kevin.
I also want to thank Simmons Bank for your support in this project and the big part of that you are of this. But I do have a question. There is an option in 2048 for them to renew this for another $1.5 million for 25 years. And It's their responsibility to let us know they want to do that, but I think we have a vested interest in getting the $1.5 million if we can get them to do it. So how do we track an event 25 years from now so we make sure we help facilitate that happening?
Well, Kimberly will still be the city manager, so 25 years from now. So
So we'll just put it on her personal calendar and away we go.
that's right. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a great thing that we will make sure we'll make a plaque and put it in the city manager's office. It reminds us. So it'll be a permanent sticky note.
Okay. But that is a serious question.
It's a
though.
great question.
How do
because
we
do have-
facilitate that happening 25 years from now when probably none of us are going to be part of the picture, right?
I think
So
that's-
in general, as a general practice for tracking contract management, it's done by the department. So it's probably a good idea for the city manager's office to get a plan, probably assign it to Assistant City Manager Driscoll in the Parks Division.
Okay.
I'd love to hear a report on that here in a week or two. Because, I mean, it is, there's a lot of stuff that happens around here where we all
That's
sit
right.
around and we go, oh, hey, yeah, there was this park there, and I think there was supposed to be, and the city attorney's office ends up digging through boxes of old files to try to figure out what were we supposed to have done. So I appreciate the question, Counselor, and we'll look forward to hearing from staff on
Yeah, we need to think through
how we'll do that.
a way to have a permanent reminder there.
Yeah, great.
Yep.
Do you have a recommendation for us?
Yes, I would recommend a motion to accept the Simmons Bank grant agreement.
Counselors, further questions?
Or approve.
If I may
Approve.
amend the motion, we want you to approve
Approve.
the Simmons Bank grant agreement.
I wanted to grab them as soon as those words came out. Yeah. Yes, motion to approve the Simmons Bank
Motion
grant
to
agreement.
accept staff's recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the Simmons Bank grant agreement as recommended by staff. Please vote. The vote of 4-0, that's approved. Thank you guys again so much for being here. Thanks for all of your commitment to Stillwater. Thank you. All right, next up, 8B, presentation, discussion, and possible action to approve the fiscal year 2025 pavement management program. Mr. Travis Small.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Travis Small. I'm with the Engineering Department, and if I can get my PowerPoint up here. I'm very excited to be here tonight to present this FY25 pavement management program for to council for possible approval. And just like to mention that the transportation sales tax funds fund the entire pavement management program, and they are projected by the end of fiscal year 24 to accumulate approximately $10 million. Staff has systematically inspected and evaluated various locations and projects to include in this program to present for possible approval here tonight. And they include a combination of maintenance, rehabilitation, reconstruction of various transportation infrastructure across the city. So what you see here, before we get into the fiscal year 25 pavement management program, I would like to discuss with you a little bit about a plan moving forward through the end of fiscal year 24. And what you see here is a list of projects which equates to approximately $10.2 million that's intended to demonstrate the use of the existing sales tax funds that we have on hand right now to let you know that the money is being utilized. This plan has been taken to TPAC and has been approved to bring here tonight for approval by council. Also like to note that the last two bullets there with the stars, we want to make sure that you guys realize that we do not intend that construction will begin on those two projects within the fiscal year 24 program, but that we do realize that funds are needed for those. Now the first four bullets that you see here, we do have projects ongoing right now that we anticipate will be advertised and should be awarded by the end of the fiscal year, so that's why those are identified. Okay, moving forward, continuing with the FY24 plan, Monticello is one of the projects that we are working to get advertised to bid. This is a full reconstruction of Monticello from University to Admiral, and we anticipate that this is going to cost approximately $2 million of transportation sales tax funds to go into construction. Next, this is also one of the projects we anticipate being advertised and awarded by the end of the fiscal year, and this is a diamond grinding and patching project which is on Hall of Fame, McElroy and Manning. We anticipate that based upon the estimated cost that this will need an additional $1 million to go to construction. And last on the fiscal year 24 plan, this is a project that we are currently working on the design contract with the consultant and anticipate having that to council for possible approval very soon. This is Knobloch from 4th to University and various locations along 4th Avenue, as well as Lincoln Street from 6th to 4th. We have an estimated cost right now before we get into design completely of approximately $6.5 million for this project. As I mentioned in a previous slide, those last two bullets, which included this project, we estimated $2 million for this, so that doesn't cover everything for construction on this project, but just to emphasize to you the need for the funding for those projects. And the reason I'm here tonight is to present the fiscal year 25 pavement management program. And what you see before you on this slide is a list of different strategies incorporated in that fiscal year 25 pavement management program, which equates to the $10 million that I mentioned previously that the sales tax is gathering up per year. Staff has assembled this list, which you can see in your attachments in your packet. There's a map and there's also a list of projects. And for those watching online, we are going to get this put up on our website so that you can see this list and this map. But this is a list of the projects that or strategies that we put together, and it breaks down based upon the cost estimates and strategies shown. Staff did present this FY25 pavement management program to TPAC, and they did approve that as well to bring to council for approval. And moving forward, these are some of the locations that are identified in that FY25 pavement management program. I want to let you guys know that the numbers that you're seeing here are not prioritization by any means. These are just a list of locations that are put together in a table format so you can reference the projects easily. But these are some of the locations that have been identified. Staff wants to make sure that we let council know that we're going to be utilizing engineering firms to help us coordinate these projects, to design, manage them, and get them out to construction in a timely fashion. We understand that we want to make sure that the community is taken care of, and we want to push that out as quickly as we can to get it into construction. So here are several other locations in that FY25 pavement management program. And lastly, here are the last three locations included in the program. And I am here to answer any questions, should you have any.
Councilors.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I do have one. Wasn't there some discussion about Airport Road at Perkins being in this project?
Airport Road at Perkins. Last week we did bring Airport Park and Harned to council for approval, and we are working right now to get that project executed so we can actually start construction. So it has been approved last week at council.
Okay.
We're just waiting to get the contracts executed.
Thank you.
You bet.
I think one of the things that's helpful when we have these conversations, since we don't have them constantly in our meetings, is to remind folks how we choose and prioritize these projects. And there is, in fact, a system. I know I get a lot of questions sometimes on why we choose the projects that we choose or prioritize the projects that we do for streets in particular. And it's helpful I don't know if you can take a second just to remind us of kind of the system that's in place and how staff evaluates and prioritizes the need for funding on projects.
Sure. So staff utilized a contract with IMS, which was completed last year. And we have been going through that particular contract that they went out and identified all the different streets. They went through and analyzed to determine, the conditions of each one of the streets, and then put a program together based upon that information that they compiled. We went through that particular IMS report and took some of the information that they provided based upon that PCI rating, which is a pavement condition index rating. And so we took that information and then tried to logically compile that list into a workable set of projects that we could put out for an entire year. One of the things that the report itself did was kind of piecemeal it. And what we tried to do is take that piecemealing and make it into a more logical combination of projects. So that's what you see here tonight is a combination of some of the IMS information and then staff looking at it to try to make sense of it, to make it work, to make it into a logical project to bid so that you're going to get decent prices as opposed to very small projects where you get high prices. So.
I think one of the things I learned when I first got on council that was interesting to me was that sometimes different roads were prioritized for different types of treatments because it would prolong the life of the road.
Absolutely.
So it wasn't that we only prioritized roads in terrible condition, that had terrible pavement condition, but we also found a way to, in that budget, to extend the life of roads as well. So that's some of that treatment, the crack and seal, and the even I believe the diamond grinding as well is part of that kind of extending the life of the road. Correct?
Absolutely, and that's a great point. If you focused only on the full reconstruction of streets, you're going to spend a lot of money and not get a bigger bang for the buck. You need to focus on not only the reconstruction, but you need to focus on the maintenance. You need to focus on the rehab. So you try to balance that out as much as you can to try to prolong that life. So this particular plan does have a lot of applications with respect to surface treatments like crack sealing, just sealing in general, microsurfacing. You also have some patching in there, along with approximately $3.3 million of full reconstruction, which this particular plan does focus heavily on the asphalt side because the majority of our streets, the need of our streets is on the asphalt side. We do have some concrete in this particular plan, and as we move forward to future years, when I come back to present future years as we go forward, we'll be shifting that around from year to year to try to make sure we get the best we can out of the money that we have.
I had one last question for you. I noticed in both the FY24 and the FY25, we have a line item specifically for sidewalks.
Correct.
And I wasn't aware, how do we track sidewalk conditions similarly from a pavement management perspective? Or how do we understand what the kind of maintenance or deferred maintenance is on our sidewalk? I say that I was just in a community recently where they were soliciting, I guess it was a sidewalk survey from the community where they were asking the community to let them know where there were sidewalk issues. And I was curious if we had done something like that, or if that's how we determine what sidewalks need support, or if we just kind of have a backlog of.
I have to apologize. I've been here approximately 6 months now, and I don't know if one has been done previously. I do know what we receive comments from the public requesting certain locations to look at possibly upgrading the sidewalks or improving the crossings. So we do put a list together of that. We also have internally our own list that we know, hey, we need to start looking at different locations there. I know that IMS will identify sidewalks. Our contract did not include that, but that is something as we move forward in future years, maybe we can look at that. It does add a little bit more to the contract with IMS, but that's one way we could start looking at it. certainly open to different opportunities where we can identify those particular areas where we need to improve the sidewalks.
Yeah, I think, we've done so much work and we have opportunities across the community to focus on multimodal. I know that's an emphasis of our TPAC committee as well. And certainly as we work on trails and look at connectivity, sidewalks are an important connector to those things. So it seems like I'd be curious to know what kind of cost that would add and if that would be something that staff would consider for the next round.
We can certainly approach IMS and gather some information with respect to additional costs that it would require for that.
Sort of along those lines, with the 6th Street reconstruction or widening project coming eventually, I know we've talked, we've already done some studies around the corridor and how we're going to plan to move people around when 6th Street's a mess, both in cars and having safe transportation for active transportation, bikes and that sort of thing. I don't know, are pavement management plans kind of taking into account the studies that we've done on where people are going to be driving and walking and riding in that time frame? I don't know, what are we, 2 years out from potentially the start of that? Maybe 2, 3? We're still kind of up in the air, but hopefully we're planning on how are we going to move people around when that stuff's underway.
And that's a great point. I would like to point out that the 4th Avenue projects that I was identifying along that corridor, that would be one of the routes I can envision people utilizing to try to get through. But certainly, we will certainly address that and try to account for that. When projects like that do occur, you tend to get a lot of wear and tear on those pavements. So we'll try to make sure that that is addressed as we move forward.
One more thing from me. We're talking about projects that are still from pavement management 2021, 22, 23, that are still on the books, and we're still working to get finished up. I know, we increased our funding. We doubled our funding a couple years ago. Do you feel like we're going to be able to get these projects actually into production and on, get ourselves back in line with not being 3 years behind on finishing up projects from previous fiscal years? What do we need to do to get our, I guess, our completion rate up a little faster so we can get through some of this? We've got it's nice to have some money to be able to spend on these projects, but how do we get it actually deployed out there quicker?
Great question. This is something that we did discuss with TPAC a little bit, and I know internally staff has been looking at this as an issue. Certainly, previous projects that were identified, those are not going by the wayside. Those are definitely projects that we are working on to try to move forward to get up to the top of the list so that we can go to construction. I don't want to speak to what's happened in the past. I know there's been challenges and opportunities presented to itself or to ourselves. And what we're focusing on right now, as I mentioned, we're going to be utilizing engineering staff outside of the city that can help us push these projects along. And internal staff's going to be trying to focus a lot on those projects that have lingered for some time. And we're going to be trying to make sure that we get those out and get them into construction so everybody understands those aren't going by the wayside. If they've been named, we're going to address them.
Thank you.
You bet.
All right. Do you have a recommendation for us?
I do. Staff recommends a motion to approve the fiscal year 25 pavement management program as detailed above and attached.
And just to clarify, what we'd be approving here is just the general idea that these are the projects we're going to do. Each of these projects will end up getting bid out individually, and we'll have more approvals for each of the projects before we actually get started.
Absolutely, that is correct. Once the projects are advertised and let, we will come back very similar to what we did last week with the Airport Park Harned project and bring it to council for possible approval.
Great.
Okay.
All right, councilors.
I move approval of the staff recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the staff's recommendation. Please vote. It's approved with a vote of 4-0. Thanks, sir. Appreciate you being here. We always like to talk about pavement. All right. Item 9, resolutions. 9A, Resolution CC-2024-8, a resolution declaring the intent to consider approval of a project plan and creation of one or more tax incentive districts under the Local Development Act, directing preparation of a project plan, appointing a review committee, directing the review committee to make findings as to eligibility and financial impact, if any, on affected taxing jurisdictions and business activities within the district, directing the review committee to make a recommendation with respect to the proposed project plan, directing the Stillwater Planning Commission to determine conformance of the proposed project plan with the Stillwater Comprehensive Plan, and to make a recommendation with respect to the proposed project plan and declaring an emergency. Ms. Carnley, can you tell us a little more about this one?
It is an objective of the City of Stillwater to promote economic development in the city in order to attract major investment, enhance the tax base, stimulate economic growth, and improve the quality of life in and around the city. The city is considering stimulating private investment in one or more data centers on a portion of land in the city located north of Airport Road, south of East Richmond Road, east of North Perkins, and west of North Jardo. Under state law, the city is empowered to approve a project plan and to provide incentives, exemptions, and other forms of tax relief to further economic development efforts in the city of Stillwater. This resolution is the first procedural step in that process for the city to consider approval of a project plan. Adoption of the resolution this evening will approve the following. Declare the council's intent to consider approval of a project plan and creation of one or more tax incentive districts as authorized under the Local Development Act. It directs the Center for Economic Development Law, the city's special counsel for economic development and TIF-related matters, to prepare a project plan. It appoints a review committee based on the membership specifically outlined therein. Directs the review committee to consider and make findings and recommendations to the city council with respect to the eligibility of proposed incentive districts and the appropriateness of approval of a proposed project plan, and determine whether the proposed project plan and project will have a financial impact on the relevant taxing jurisdictions. The Planning Commission shall review the proposed project plan and make its findings regarding conformance of the proposed project plan to the Stillwater Comprehensive Plan and make recommendations to the City Council, also declaring an emergency, whereas this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Thank you, Kimberly. Councilors, any questions or action on the item?
Motion to adopt resolution CC-2024-8.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Please vote. Resolution is approved with a vote of 4-0. Up next, item 10, ordinances on first read. We have ordinance 3532, an ordinance rezoning tract of land located at 1515 North Boomer Road and 1120 North Husband Street from commercial general and commercial shopping to public. This is from the item we heard earlier this evening. Councilors.
I move to adopt or advance ordinance 3532.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to advance the ordinance. Please vote. With a vote of 4-0, ordinance 3532 is advanced to second reading. On second reading, we have ordinance 3533, an ordinance closing a portion of a right-of-way located near lots 23 and 24 in Block 57, Original Town, now City of Stillwater, Payne County, Oklahoma, near property addressed as 1101 South Main Street. It's from last week's meeting.
I move to adopt ordinance 3533.
Second.
Motion and a second to adopt the ordinance. Please vote. With a vote of 4-0, ordinance 3533 is adopted. Item 11, we have appointments to the Stillwater Housing Authority, appropriately during Fair Housing Month. We have Board Member Sue Bonner, whose term expired but is willing to continue to serve on that board. I would move that we reappoint Sue Bonner to a new 3-year term on the Stillwater Housing Authority Board.
Second.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
I'm fine with the appointment, but this isn't the first time we've had an appointment come to us that has expired. Right? This should have come to us before we're to the point where that position seat is empty, I would think. What do we need to do to make sure we have some kind of process where these get filled in a timely manner, especially when it's a reappointment?
I think that's a great question.
The city attorney's office is working with the city manager's office right now to review our process for appointments to boards and committees, and so we're currently working on that, but we will report back a recommended path forward to ensure that these are handled in a timely manner.
Great, thank you.
I would assume that they serve until their replacement is appointed. So
That's correct.
The seat is still, yeah, okay.
But technically, their appointment has expired.
Technically, yes, we should do it more timely, for sure. All right, I think I heard a second from the vice mayor on this appointment. So, councilors, please vote. With a vote of 4-0, Sue Bonner is appointed to another term on the Stillwater Housing Authority. We appreciate your service. That takes us to item 12, reports from the officers of the board. Ms. Carnley.
Request for an executive session pursuant to 25 OS Section 307B1 of the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act for the purpose of confidential communications regarding the employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, disciplining, or resignation of Stillwater City Attorney Kimberly Carnley and City Manager Kimberly Meek.
Thank you. Ms. Meek.
For that. April is World Autism Awareness Month. According to autismspeaks.org, 1 in 5 children ages 3 to 17 are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. There are approximately 5.4 million autistic adults in the United States. We know there is not one type of autism, but many. It looks different for everyone. Each person has a distinct set of strengths and challenges. To take the please and, quote, act fearlessly for change, or for more information and resources, go to autismspeaks.org. Also, tomorrow, April 2nd, is World Autism Awareness Day. We wear blue to signify understanding and acceptance. I wore it today for our council meeting and as a reminder and in support.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Yes, I have 2. So first, we want your feedback for Stillwater's new comprehensive plan. A comprehensive plan establishes a vision for the next 10 to 20 years of a city's growth. Please take the survey and share your input. It is available in hard copy form at Stillwater Public Library and online at stillwaterok.gov/envision. Secondly, the Stillwater Arts Festival is coming up and has more than 50 regional artists participating this year. This year's event will be at the Prairie Art Center at 1001 South Duck Street on Friday, April 19th from 12 to 8 p.m. and Saturday, April 20th from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. This is a family-friendly event that includes live music, artist demos, food trucks, the farmers market, and much more. Go to artcenter.okstate.edu for more information.
Always love the Arts Festival. That's a fun time. Councilor Clark.
The Friends of the Stillwater Public Library will have their annual used book sale April 18 through 21. The preview night is Thursday from 5 to 8 p.m., and that is, I'm pretty sure, reserved for Friends members, but you can join right there for the nominal fee. And the general public sale is Friday from 12 to 8 p.m. and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. The dollar bag sale will be Sunday from 1:30 to 4 p.m. Bags will be provided, and there is no limit to how many bags you can buy for $1. The event will be at the library located at 1107 South Duck. For more information, go to stillwaterok.gov/library.
As I always tell my wife, everyone always needs more books. She does not agree, but still will be at the sale. Councilor Harden.
And just in case you have too many, you can bring books back to the library and donate them back.
Yes, you can donate them back,
Yes.
absolutely.
So did you know you can now fill out an application online to start new utility services? Thanks to our utility and billing department, new residential customers may complete an online application or come to City Hall during business hours and fill out the form in person. Commercial customers, however, must contact our business office during business hours. For more information, go to stillwaterok.gov/utility application.
Thank you. I will remind you all that tomorrow, Tuesday, April 2nd, is Election Day, with polls open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You will go to your normal polling location to vote. We encourage every registered voter to research all candidates and propositions on the ballot and vote in the direction you believe is best. For more information about your polling location and for sample ballots, you can go online to votepaynecounty.com or to www.elections.ok.gov. The online voter tool on the state website will let you just put in your name, your information, and it will pop up and show you where you vote. It'll give you a choice to click on a sample ballot. Lots of good information there. So tomorrow, 7 a.m., 7 p.m., go out. There is a school board election in Stillwater. I'm not sure if there's any other things on the ballot around Payne County, but if you're in the Stillwater School District, we encourage you to go vote tomorrow. All right, at this time, I move to recess the Stillwater City Council meeting.
Second.
Motion and second to recess the council. The vote of 4-0, the Stillwater City Council will now be in recess. This time, I will call to order the Stillwater Utilities Authority meeting for April 1st, 2024. Trustees, action on the consent docket.
Motion to approve the consent docket.
Second.
Motion and second to approve consent. Please vote. The vote of 4-0, the SUA consent docket is approved. Under general orders, we have consider approval of a professional services agreement with HDR Engineering, and David Barth is here to tell us more.
Yes, good evening, trustees. I'm David Barth with Engineering, here tonight to discuss the need for a update to our wastewater master plan and a new wastewater model. And so on this cover slide, you can see a couple of images there. On the left is the newly constructed inverted siphon that crosses underneath Boomer Creek on our south interceptor, and those 3 barrels are just west of our wastewater treatment plant. And that's fiberglass reinforced pipe, if you were curious. The right image is a model run, and so we'll be discussing the wastewater model, but our existing wastewater model, we can run scenarios where you see all of these little green and red dots. Those are manholes on our collection system, and those are the red dots mean that we ran this scenario with a storm event, and in the future, let's say 20 years from now, and it shows that those are manholes where we might have an overflow or what they call surcharging. And so those are areas then that point to where we might have I&I, which is inflow and infiltration, or that just undersized lines where we need to do capacity enhancements. So a little bit about our collection system. We have 250 miles of sewer line, 17 lift stations, and over 5,900 manholes. So quite a bit for our utility staff to take care of. The issues that we're going to address with this master plan update, one of the big things is our sewer model that we have is, it was actually a sewer model that we had before our previous master plan was done, but the sewer model is skeletonized, meaning not all of our pipes, our pipe network is in that model, which makes it difficult for predicting impacts due to new development from our system. The other thing is that during that previous master plan, the flow monitoring that was performed was during a period where we didn't have significant rainfall events. And so the part of the flow monitoring is to identify inflow and infiltration issues like you see in those photos, but also it's to develop storm event scenarios that we can use in modeling. So if we don't have good rainfall during our flow monitoring, we're not going to have a good basis for our model. So we're excited about that. So if you look at the 2 images there below, these are not from the city of Stillwater, but we have experienced things like this. In the lower left-hand corner is a offset joint or a hole in the top of the pipe allowing stormwater to flow in. In the right, you can see a surcharging manhole that's in maybe an intersection during a rainfall event where the collection system is just overcome due to the inflow of storm water. Also, I wanted to say that the age of our existing master plan, it's 14 years old. You should update these every 10 years or so. So we're kind of behind on that, and want to make sure that we update our master plan. And again, we want to make sure that we're taking care of inflow and infiltration. What that does is it's sending stormwater into your collection system and to your treatment plant. So we don't need to treat stormwater. So it's going to create capacity issues, could create upset the wastewater treatment plant, and so we want to avoid that. So the benefits of a new master plan and model, some of which I've talked about, is to identify I&I through flow monitoring during a active weather pattern, which we have today. Also we want to have a more robust sewer model that represents our entire pipe network, so that we can then use that information that developers turn in, whether it's a residential development, a commercial development, or an industrial user, that we can take that information and predict what kind of impact their development has on our system. And so whether we need to upsize a line that's downstream of that development, or whether there needs to be upgrades to a lift station, those types of things. And then also a prioritized capital improvement plan will be part of this master plan. And so we have a capital improvement plan, but this project actually could identify new activities that we need to do to address I&I, or maybe identify areas where we need to do capacity enhancements that we don't know about. So we'll incorporate those into our plan. These images on this sheet, I wanted to show on the left, this is another model scenario. So that green line that's on top that's real jagged is just the ground surface, and those vertical black lines represent manholes. That blue shaded area that's kind of there just shows what the depth of the flow is in the sewer line at that time. And so we can run, like I said, different scenarios, adding development, adding storm events, and see what happens downstream of a certain area. This right image is actually our new aerial crossing that's on Boomer Creek, south of 12th on our south interceptor. You might remember previously we brought in pictures of an aerial crossing where the structure that was holding up the pipe had failed, and so we had essentially bootstrapped it with welded bands and chains and locks and all kinds of things, and a big I-beam just to hold it together. And so now we've got this newly constructed aerial crossing, which I'm really proud of, that was constructed last fall. So we don't have any naming rights or anything like that, but anyway, we could consider that, I guess. So we're actually looking at this from a phased approach. One, because we need to get this thing going right now. You know, we're moving into a time of the year where the active weather pattern is the best time for us to capture that good flow monitoring, the wet weather data. And so if with the approval of the trustees this evening, we'll be deploying flow monitors, and within 2 weeks our consultant will. And there's two things. One, we want to capture that wet weather data, but also we really want to capture data while the students are still here. And so if we deploy flow monitors around the 15th of April, then we can have maybe 3 weeks of flow monitoring while the majority of, or a good portion of our town is still here before they go home for the summer. And so tonight we're asking that you approve the agreement with HDR Engineering to do this phase 1 flow monitoring, and then also we'll be working on a scope to come back later and ask for your authorization to have an amendment with them for a wastewater master plan and the model, the actual continuation of that. But we've got to get the flow monitoring done, and the flow monitoring is really expensive, so we just do that for a couple of months, and we want to get that started right away. So any questions before I share my recommendation?
Trustees? Did a good job explaining that. I think we're good.
I'm trying to be exciting. Brady did a really good job on the Block 34. He's got all these fancy renderings and people wanting to give money and name stuff. And then Travis has got all this cool street stuff. And, Counselor Jalowski's got all these great questions. So I'm trying to be more exciting.
Anyway, you can't be exciting when it comes to sewer systems.
Apparently not. Master planning sewer is hard. But, maybe if I bring in, I've been, thinking about some wardrobe enhancements. And so we'll, go from there.
I still like the naming rights concept. That's
Yeah,
we're going to have lots of stuff.
Maybe RCB would be interested in naming the sewer.
Yeah.
What's your recommendation for us, David?
Sure. So recommend the trustees approve the professional services agreement with HDR Engineering, authorize total expenditures not to exceed $396,000, which includes a 10% contingency, and authorize the general manager to sign the agreement and related budget amendment.
Trustees?
I move to approve staff recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the recommendation. Please vote. With a vote of 4 to 0, that is approved.
Thank you.
David. Item 6 is resolutions. Adopt resolution SUA 2024-1 authorizing an equipment lease purchase agreement. Christie?
This is I'll introduce it
you're
and
gonna
Christie's
introduce it.
available for
Okay.
questions. This is a resolution of the Stillwater Utilities Authority authorizing the execution and delivery of an equipment lease purchase agreement and related instruments and determining other matters in connection therewith. Approval of this resolution would approve the purchase of 8 new waste management vehicles to be purchased via a lease purchase agreement with BOK Financial Equipment Finance, Inc., to be financed in an amount of $3,495,000 and authorizing the general manager to sign any documents in connection therewith. Assistant City Manager and Finance Director Christy Cluck is here if you have any other questions.
Trustees, do you have any other questions?
Well, I'll just comment, we've been here before, and we're doing this again because we were working with a band bank. They're on the naughty list for the state of Oklahoma.
And to be clear, you're referring to not BOK Financial Equipment Finance.
No.
Okay.
The previous action was with a different
Yes.
bank that
Okay.
is on the
Entering
banned
this lease
list.
purchase agreement with BOK Financial Equipment Finance, Inc. is legally acceptable.
I gotcha. Okay. Thanks for making that clear. But we wouldn't, yeah. I think they're close to actually passing the state law that gets us out of that little mess, but we're not there yet. Further questions about the resolution? Is there action on the resolution?
Motion to adopt resolution SUA 2024-1.
Second.
Motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Please vote. That resolution is adopted with a vote of 4 to 0. Any reports from the officers of the board? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn SUA. Please vote. With a vote of 4 to 0, the Stillwater Utilities Authority is now adjourned. At this time, I will call to order the Stillwater Economic Development Authority meeting for April 1st, 2024. Trustees, we have a consent docket. Questions, comments, or action?
Motion to approve the consent docket.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent docket. Please vote. With a vote of 4 to 0, the consent docket is approved. There's no other action items on this agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
So motion and a second to adjourn SEDA. Please vote. With a vote of 4 to 0, the Stillwater Economic Development Authority meeting is now adjourned. At this time, I'll reconvene the Stillwater City Council meeting. We're at item 14 on the agenda. Is there a motion to enter executive session for the reasons stated by the city attorney?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to enter executive session. Please vote. With a vote of 4 to 0, the Stillwater City Council will now be in executive session. And we're back. Is there a motion to reconvene Stillwater City Council?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to reconvene in regular session. Please call the roll.
Mayor Joyce?
Yes?
Vice Mayor Jaloski?
Yes.
Counselor Hawkins? Oh, sorry. Counselor Clark?
Yes.
Counselor Harden?
Yes.
No recommended action from executive session? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn the city council. Please
Mayor
call the roll.
Joyce?
Yes?
Vice Mayor Jaloski?
Yes.
Counselor Clark?
Yes.
Counselor Harden?
Yes.
With a vote of 4 to 0, city council is now adjourned, and that concludes our meetings for the evening.